What's going on, guys? 2:30 in the morning for actually 2:30 in the afternoon for Wednesday, March 12th, 2025. A couple of days ago, a story popped out. It's popping into the locals. It's been popping into the national slowly but surely. Apparently, Trump's Secretary of Department of Agriculture has defended a $100 billion cut to the funding for food banks, school lunch programs. Basically, your kids are going to starve. I'm not kidding. They will starve to death. Don't blame me. Blame yourselves. You voted Trump in. For those who didn't, you didn't do a hard enough job. Now what you gonna do? There's an article out there in different sections. MSNBC is running one. Trump administration is facing backlash from Democrats and school nutrition advocates over its recent decision to kill two federal programs that provide more than $1 billion in funding for schools and food banks to purchase food from local farms. Local farms. Decision which comes as Republicans are pushing for deep cuts to the supplemental, basically to the SNAP program, underscores the maggots movement's antipathy towards food aid programs benefiting millions of poor Americans, including many children. As The Guardian reported, quote, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has slashed two programs that provided more than $1 billion for schools and food banks to purchase food from local farms and ranchers. Among the $660 million of those funds were contained in a local Food for Schools cooperative agreement program, which provides funds for schools and child care, but that's now being eliminated. The rest of the part of the Food Local Purchase Assistance Cooperative Agreement Program, which provides funds for food banks and other organizations. The USDA unfroze funds for existing agreements, but a second round of funding for fiscal year 2025 has been nixed. Back to the MSNBC article. On Tuesday, Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins faced a pointed question about her department's cuts for such programs on the Trump-friendly Fox News network. After reading a headline about the cuts, anchor Bill Hemmer asked, "How do you justify that?" Rollins responded with a rambling and transphobic explanation in which she calls the programs, quote, non-essential, unquote, and equated them to other contracts she said the USDA canceled that supported what she called, quote, food justice for trans people in New York and San Francisco, unquote. In essence, the secretary portrayed these vile programs, which help make sure kids and poor people don't starve, as forms of Biden administration largesse, or what else, baselessly claiming that they are evidence of the previous administration's trying to, quote, push taxpayer dollars that's out not reaching the intended target, unquote. How dare they do these things? The poor must not be fed. They must be starved and subjugated. But much like Elon Musk, which stood earlier this year and admitted his so-called Department of Government Efficiency would make mistakes that he vowed to correct quickly, Rollins seemed to leave room for a reversal. As we have always said, we are making mistakes. We will own those mistakes and we will reconfigure. But right now, from what we're viewing, that program was not essential. That this was a new program and that it was an effort by the left to continue spending taxpayer dollars that were not necessary. The Secretary's random slight against transgender people fell in line with the Trump administration's tactic of using anti-trans attacks to distract his followers from the pain his economic policies are likely to inflict on his country. As for the potential for a reversal, which should all be discussed to avoid the cruelty and requiring people who benefited from these programs, hungry school children and people reliant on food banks, to hang their hopes on being fed on Musk and Rollins having an epiphany about their deservedness. Relatedly, ESPN football analysis. Um, Mina Kimes spoke out about the cruelty in an episode of the Pablo Torres Finds Out podcast. Kimes recounted her experience retweeting a story of Musk's withholding of aid from the U.S. Agency for International Development, which she said ultimately and surprisingly led Musk to reverse course on a specific program highlighted in the story. The point being, it is an indignity for anybody to have to live at the whim of the uber wealthy and well-connected officials steering the Trump administration. Of course, it may be a little bit of an opinion out here. I mean, it's only just an opinion. It really doesn't matter. I mean, your kid's got to starve. By the way, you earn SNAP, you got to starve. They're rating the Social Security. We all got to starve. We must feed the uber wealthy. We must feed the Musk. We must feed those who can already feed themselves. We must starve because we must. We have to. We owe it to the people we just voted in. We must support the Trump and the Musk, who's also been voted in office one way or another. I think passed the U.S. Constitution, but somehow he snuck in. But it's $1 billion in funding. Oh, by the way, the local food suppliers out there, they suck. That means all the markets who are trying to get rid of the used food, they can just toss them away. The poor don't need them. The starving, the hungry don't need them. Even the school children don't need them. Who gives a shit about anybody else like that, huh? But you voted the assholes in. So what you gonna do about it, America? 1776, 1860. Figure this shit out.